get into one of the other fighters you promoted in Terrence Crawford. He obviously had a breakout year, solidified his Hall of Fame credentials. Is that one you wish you had back, Bob, with promoting Terrence Crawford and not being a part of his legacy-defining fight? And what we saw the star he's become ever since. But is that one you wish you had back?
No, because Terrence Crawford is a great talent. We always said that he was a great talent. He's proved through his career that he's a great talent. The question is, can you match up his economic demands with his actual marketability? And we were not able to do that. We lost a lot of money promoting his fights, and I wish him well, but I'm not prepared, or my company isn't prepared to take those risks, because at least with Terrence, it never worked out economically. Even though when you look at his performances, they were brilliant. They're still brilliant. But again, Terrence did well in the, was extraordinarily good fighting Spence. They did very well economically. But again, if you ran it back and you had Terrence fighting Spence again, I really don't believe that it would do anything like the numbers that the first fight did.
Yeah, just by the nature of the one-sided dominance, and the fact that
because
now
what people didn't realize was you looked at Spence and you looked at his whole career, and the one thing that was glaring was, with all his great victories and all his fights, he had fought 2-0 southpaws. So that should have indicated to everybody that Spence didn't like fighting southpaws.
Mm-hmm. And
Crawford, Womack knew that. And so what did they do? They just fought him southpaw.
Yeah, it was one of the most definitive one-sided performances in a big-time fight we've seen in quite a while. And Bob, last one from me. You've had some time to think about it now. It's been a couple of weeks old. The news of PBC signing with Amazon Prime, a new entrant into the space with Showtime now leaving the sport after 37 years. Let's talk about that. Al Heyman now working with Amazon Prime and what that means for the overall nature of the sport and the health of the sport, and how you guys could be working together.
Well, first of all, the Amazon Prime people are first rate. We've had experience for now a number of years dealing with them in Japan on various fights and so forth. They're really are into it in Japan. We've just renewed our Japanese deal with Amazon Prime. They're a great organization, and hopefully they'll be able to replicate what they've done in Japan in the United States. The only thing I would hope is that they don't overload it with pay-per-view, that they do more free fights on the platform, because if Al disproportionately uses them to do pay-per-view, that's a disaster for the sport. I've always believed that the pay-per-view fights should be few and far between, and that most of the fights, or as many as possible, should be free to the consumer. Because in all the other major sports, that's the case. The best fights are free. And if boxing is going to take all of its fights of any kind of category and put it on pay-per-view, it's going to be the death knell for the sport of boxing.
Mm-hmm. And can we expect, I know you've been working with PBC more and more in recent years. Can we expect more collaboration with you guys with this new Amazon deal?
Well, again, if a promotion company isn't willing to deal with another promotion company, they're insane, because it's not to keep everything to yourselves, but to reach the best possible audience and do the best fights for yourself and the sport. We have no problem dealing with Oscar's company, Golden Boy, which programs for the Zone. We've done a lot of fights with even Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, which is another the Zone affiliate. We've done some fights with Al Heyman. We should do more. Boxing should look to have the ability to present the best fights available to the public without regard to who the promoter, which fighters the promoter controls. If we don't do that, we're just going to kill the sport. But I'm optimistic that as we look ahead in the years to come, we'll do more and more of co-promotions with other companies to offer the best possible fights to the public.
Mm-hmm. But out of the three names I mentioned, Teofimo, Shakur, and even Lomachenko, if there is one fighter that you could pit against Davis in that super fight, who would that be?
All three, I think, would beat Davis. I really believe that. But that's why they do the fights, you know. You get in the ring and you determine who's better. I think Shakur beats him. I think Teofimo beats him. And I think Lomachenko beats him.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Gervonta Davis is the real deal? I know a lot of people question the level of opponents or at what weight he's been fighting them at or at what terms, but just based off of the performances you've seen, do you think he's the real deal?
I think he is the real deal. I mean, that's why we're talking about him. He's a hell of a performer, a terrific athlete, terrific boxer, but so are the other three guys you mentioned.